Hey everyone, my name is Marlene Garcia. I am the owner and one of the brewers to Brew N Krew. Today I am joined by three of my really close friends. We have
Albert,
Steven,
and
Myra.
I'm Myra. So today we're actually going to do something super fun. We are going to be beer tasting, tequila tasting, and our friend Myra is going to be asking us some pressing questions that everyone wants to know. But yeah, let's get started. But first, before we start, we're going to take tequila shots just to set the mood. And shout out to Doña Chela, aka the other owner to Brew N Krew. For bringing Steven this bottle, and as you can see, this is how many takes it's taken us to do this. No, but no, yeah,
we keep messing up just to take shots. So.
Yeah, so we might end up drunk after this. So, okay. This is called Antiguo what? De Herradura?
Yeah. So it's a tequila from the Herradura house.
It's good.
Smells like.
All right. All right. So cheers to what?
just for the record, I don't like tequila, so.
Yes, you do.
Cheers.
Lies. Told lying to God.
Okay.
Woo. All right.
So first question, how did Brew N Krew start?
How did Brew N Krew start? So Brew N Krew actually started because of Steven. Steven and I used to actually travel all throughout California, visiting different breweries. We went up to Chico, we went up down to San Diego, literally all throughout California, visiting different breweries. And we used to come home with like huge 4-packs of beer. I remember this one time we went to San Francisco and we came home, and our daughter she was still in a baby carrier. And I remember I was carrying like the big packs of beer. It was literally worth like $500. I'm not even kidding. And then Steven had the baby with other beer. And I was like telling him, dude, we really need to stop spending so much money, right? And I told him like, hey, you know what? We should, stop buying other people's beer, and you should make your own beer. Like, let's make our own beer, right? And he was like, oh, that would be cool, And literally that night, when we were like falling asleep, I went on Amazon and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna order this fucking kit. Like, it doesn't matter. It gets here. I think we went on Saturday or Sunday. We went Sunday, and I think it got there like Thursday. And that's how it kind of blew up, huh?
Yeah, so it was basically a basic, really basic kit. You just had 2 carboys and like a recipe, pre-made recipe. And then I remember that it had been sitting in the garage for like maybe a month. And then finally Marlene was like, hey. Marlene was like, hey, are you gonna use that kit or am I gonna have to use it? So I was like, all right, I'll take care of it like on the weekend. Because I work Monday through Friday, sometimes Saturdays. And then I remember that when I finally decided to brew some beer, cause it turns out that the package only had the basic stuff. It didn't have a kettle. So you need the kettle to do the mashing, do all that stuff. And so I told her we can't start. So then she went and ordered kettles and all that stuff. And once we got that going, we then made our first beer. And after that, it was just
The rest is history.
Yeah, the rest was.
Now we're here drinking tequila shots. I'm just kidding. But yeah, so then, but of course, the reason why Brew N Krew was born was because like I said, we used to visit different breweries, and, all breweries are so unique, and they all have, their own story and their own styles and their own, look, everything. But there are breweries that have literally inspired us, throughout this entire journey. Like, they're the reason why we said, you know what, let's go for it. Let's build Brew N Krew. Let's make Brew N Krew happen, because we wanted to just kind of, I don't know, they were just an inspiration, and that's why these are just a couple of breweries that inspired us.
Yeah, I mean, we have everything from uh, Mexican lager to a stout, and they're all from different breweries that inspire us and the way that they make their beer, they design their cans, the way they carry themselves with the community, and obviously, like you have to, if you're Mexican or not, you always start with not knowing what beer is about, and to me Pacifico, Coronas, Modelos, all those lagers and all those different like beers, they just became so interesting to me because I mean there's so many difference in just one style of beer that it's like oh it's supposed to be a lager, it isn't supposed to taste like this, but I mean they're all lagers that all taste different. And for me, Pacifico is one of my favorites. So we're gonna pop it open and just continue talking. I mean, as we enjoy the beer.
All right. So who brews the beer?
Blooper. Damn.
So Steven actually started.
No, I got it.
When you don't have a bottle opener.
No, ¿para qué se ocupa?
So Steven actually started brewing the beer. Like I said, this was supposed to be Steven's like hobby, Steven's everything, right? But due to his work schedule, he was kind of forced to stop brewing. And you know, we had already like said like, oh, Brew N Krew, like we kind of have to keep it going, whether it blows up into, you know, just a homebrew thing or it blows up and becomes a company, right? So he actually had to stop brewing beer because of his work schedule. So it was kind of forced onto me. So who brews a beer? Steven definitely started this. He started brewing it. Then I took over, and like I said, it was kind of forced on me. And he even told me like, hey, if we really want to keep this going, that means you kind of have to jump on board, you know? So then I would call him like literally throughout the entire like process, like say like, hey, what do I do? Like, what the hell am I doing? Like, I don't know how to do this. Like, it was like such a wild, you know, transition. But now, like, you know, now I could say like, oh, I'm the one that brews the beer, but definitely Steven still guides me through this entire thing, literally through the entire journey, the entire process. Like I'm calling Steven, I'm texting Steven, I'm like telling him, conversating with him like, hey, I did this differently, and he'll tell me, hey, well, make sure you make a note of that because that will be good in the next time you brew that beer. Or, and of course, like he'll help me as in like he'll make additions to beers, and he'll be a beer tester, you know, because of course like everyone's palate is so different. I can say like, fuck, my beer is fucking great, I love the color, I love the taste, I love everything about it. But then I always have either Steven or Albert say like, hey, try it, tell me what you think of it, right? And
well, sorry to come.
No, yeah,
but I think at times like kind of like you said, you know, like I'll tell you guys, hey, well, I mean, for me, it's not like something I would enjoy, and it's not to shut down the beer because I, you know, like I said, like we talked, we've been to many breweries, we keep on going to many breweries, and I can definitely say that I've gone to, you know, 1,000,001 different breweries, and it's not like I go to a brewery and oh, like I love this, and we've had it where we're like, oh, yeah, that wasn't so great, or you know, like you know, like I don't know if this brewery I'll come back, or and it's not to knock anything that any of the brewery is doing, but at the same time, it's like you said, you know, there's different palates, like there's beer that you know they're doing that you know people enjoy, and that's why they're in business. But kind of like you said, like there's beer that you'll be like, you know, it's not for me, kind of thing. I can't say it's a bad beer,
yeah,
because another person might say, you know, this is the most amazing beer. That
Great beer.
yeah.
Yeah, and well, I mean, like I, you know, it was funny because we were talking about this earlier, and I told you like Steven is my Yoda. Like Steven's the one that I go to, and he guides me through this and that. And yeah, he may not be here throughout the entire brewing process, but he definitely is a great asset and like literally makes the entire brewing journey easier for me. So
Yes, it's like I feel like we're a good team in the sense that she comes up with like these ideas, and to be honest, like sometimes I just shy away from like
Experimenting too much.
yeah, experiment too much just because I want to keep things kind of simple but different. And she's the one trying all these different things and asking me, is this all right, or should I do this, or how much of this should I use, and just running things through me or by me or whatever. and then I'll let her know, yeah, we'll do this or do that, and then she just runs with it. Sometimes she asks for reference, and she'll end up doing whatever she wants, either way. But at the end of the day, I like that she takes initiative into like taking a twist into something, trying to make it better or create a different what's it called, perspective on the flavor.
Like sometimes show messages and like be like, oh well, I did something and I don't know if it's gonna be good or not, but
We're like,
she'll
Steven's
like,
gonna be pissed.
Steven's gonna be mad, or like she'll be like, fuck it, let's see how it, you know.
But it'll be because I tell her, okay, you're gonna do this style, or you're gonna do this with the beer, just do it this way. But then she'll go and just, fuck, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
And then, well, I
The
won't know.
creative
Yeah,
twist, like,
yeah.
fuck
So,
it
and then I won't know until she tells me, oh, it's time to dump yeast and taste the beer, see how it's doing or how it's going. And it's like, oh, so what'd you do?
And I'll be like, oh, well, actually, I forgot to tell you, I did it this way, or you know what, I did this. Or, well, when he, tries it, he'll be like, oh, what? Like, this is different. Like, this, what did you do? And I will tell him, and I was like, why? Do you think it's bad? And he's like, no, like, it's not something that I would have been okay with, or it's not something I would have tried.
But it worked.
But like it worked, So
Side note: we didn't prepare for this question, but how long is your brewing process?
a
Damn.
month.
No, but I mean, what are you talking about?
Like
the actual process,
the
or
process to make a beer,
or
or
overall?
the process.
Yeah. No, not for
From
the
beginning
brewery.
to end.
Just to make a beer. Like how long? Like say you have an idea. I'm gonna make this beer. So from the minute you have that idea and you start on it to like when the beer is finished, how long is that?
I feel like every beer is different, no?
Yeah.
I think the majority though it's a month, right?
No.
It's like,
Well,
you could make a beer soup like in 2 weeks.
well, yeah. Well, I mean, the planning starts with your what do you want in that beer, and what malts you're gonna use or adjuncts or whatever. How are you gonna create that recipe for that beer? After you create a recipe, then you decide, are you gonna add stuff? Are you gonna dry hop? Are you gonna do all these little processes that take a while? Then you plan a beer in a day, maybe 2. And then you actually brew, and the brew day. Ask her,
It's like it literally takes all day. Like I will wake up at 4, and then you have to wash, sanitize. Even if everything's already washed, you have to wash it again, sanitize it again, fill up the kettle, get it get it going, and then wait an hour, and then you mash in, and then after that you mash out, and then you have to boil, and then you add hops, and then you have to cool it down, and then it's a long process. It really is. And I think one day I brewed 3 beers, and I finished
she started at 4 in the morning and she finished till 9 p.m.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's like the whole process, it's hard and it's tedious, and like, I mean, he could attest to this. Like, I'm always like, why did I do this? Like, I should have just done one.
Yeah, and
then it's like I'm texting Albert, like, pick up the kids because I can't. And it's just it definitely takes a village, and I'm super thankful because it's not just a one person's job. Because if I'm not doing the brewing, if I'm doing brewing, somebody else has to take care of my kids, right? Or like the cleaning, and it's like
because it's like you clean before, and then after brewing and doing everything, you have to clean again. So it's like you clean multiple times, and that's like one of the not hardest, but one of the most time consuming, because you have to take things apart and sanitize them, clean them, wash them, and scrub them, and
even when you think they're clean, then you clean them again. You're like, damn, they're not clean.
It's like it's crazy.
So yeah, all right. I guess next one.
All right. So what is the vision for Brew N Krew?
The vision. We've said this multiple times. So the vision of Brew N Krew, what we want to do is make it a family-friendly brewery. We want to we want to bring people to Salinas, right? Everyone has this narrative of what Salinas is, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, Salinas, it's beautiful, dude. It's awesome, and I like it, and I love it, actually. And I want people to come to Salinas and be like, wow, like Salinas has a lot to offer, and it also has a brewery, right? There is other breweries here, which is great. Like, we want people to come here and just check out the great stuff that is happening, especially in downtown. And we also want people to come and try our beer, because I think our beer is super different. It's not to knock down anybody else's beer, but it's just something, it's our flavor, you know. We have our motto that says making dope beer con cultura. So we have stuck to that. We definitely want to implement our Mexican culture, and not just our Mexican culture, but our Salinas community culture, right? Into every batch, whether it is that we get our strawberries from local farms here in Salinas, or our fruit, or, you know, even our grains, even like, you know, just local. I think it's still going. Everything stays local, and, you know, obviously building the whole brewery también, like making it a local thing, where we have local artists come, and I'm like, everybody keeps looking where you can just close it.
Technical difficulties.
Sorry.
It happens when you're live.
When you're not prepared. No, but so our vision is just to literally gather people together in one place, make it safe, make people come in and be like, fuck, like this is so cool. Like, feel like you're in your ranchito, you know, not ranchito, but just like feel home, you know? Feel be safe, feel safe somewhere, and, you know, enjoy good beer, enjoy a good atmosphere, and, you know, even trying to
I feel like in a way, I mean, sorry to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
I feel like in a way, also, like you said, you know, make everybody, you know, part of the community. I mean, I think it's something that you guys, like, recently, most of the businesses have been opening up downtown, and some of the ones that have been already established have been doing, you know, where, like, you know, you kind of collaborate with each other, you know, you kind of, like, make it to where it's not a competition, it's not, you know, hey, you know, there's enough business for everybody, there's enough where we're promoting each other as, you know, hey, we're friends, you know, we're trying to make, like you said, downtown a place where you don't have to be like, hey, well, let's go to Monterey, let's go to San Jose, let's go over here, because there's options for you to go now. Like, there's places where you can go and enjoy, especially if you're trying to have a good time with friends. You know, you can go and have a beer at
when you want to shut it down.
Yeah. So I think that's it. And like you said, you know, giving back to the community, I think that's something that you guys have also done. You know, a lot of.
Yeah.
And just that, I think that's...
And that's why, you know, we wanted, when this started, was like, hey, keep, you know, our culture in every beer we make, right? And then do events, you know, like one of our biggest events till this day is still Dia de los Muertos, the one we host in November. And it's a community event, you know, where you gather all these local entrepreneurs, like, in one room, and you bring the community. And like, we had thousands of people last year. And it was such a great turnout, and we want to keep doing that. We want to keep, you know, bringing our community together in one spot, whether it be at the Salinas PAL or at our brewery. That's what we want to continue doing. You know, we want to implement, you know, starting like internships, you know, in our brewery, because, you know, we talked about this earlier. Like, at one point, we all wanted to be bartenders, right? So we want to give that opportunity to somebody that's, you know, in college, or, you know, or just somebody that just wants to be a bartender, right? We want to give that opportunity for them. Or if, you know, if they don't want to go to school, they want to, you know, do something different, as in become a brewer, we want to give that opportunity to those individuals, you know. And also, you know, even like have a type of scholarship or type of, I don't know, fund or grant where we help startups, you know, startup businesses. I mean,
I think, again, like Kashi mentioned, you know, I think with the Dia de los Muertos, I don't want to say that no one has ever done something like that, where you have a lot of upcoming, you know, businesses or people that are trying to start something where they can display that and tell them, hey, this is, you know, what I'm trying to do. I feel like that's Dia de los Muertos has been that for a lot of people, where they can show, you know that there's going to be hundreds of people coming up. And, you know, there's like, this is my vision, this is my little startup, this is what I'm doing as, you know, a business person. And I feel like that gives exposure to them, you know, like you said, helping the community. I think that's what it's done for some of those people.
Recently, you guys did a post on sabores, and it's kind of this mysterious thing. Can you guys elaborate on that?
Oh, yeah,
Like Steven?
Yeah, well, I mean, the whole thing or concept with sabores is just trying to make the beer experience for the consumer a little bit easier, because I feel as if there's a lot of styles now, and a lot of sub styles, and it's like some people don't understand styles. I mean, that's the base of every beer. You have to start with a style, whether you're making an IPA or a sour or a milkshake IPA or Pilsner, whatever. You have a style, you have a base for that beer. When people go to the tastings, I've seen it. They'll say, "Do you have something that tastes like citrusy or something something that's not hoppy, something that's sweet, something that is not too bitter?" And we're like, "Oh, okay." So we notice that they kind of know what they want to experience when they drink a beer. So when you talk to them style wise, they don't know sometimes, and it's like, why confuse them with so many sub styles and styles when you could just make it easier for them and describe the flavors or base it off flavors and aromas rather than just styles. Plus, sometimes you'll have a certain style of beer, and then let's say, let me put this like in this way. So let's say you're a person that likes IPAs, and then you go and try an IPA, but it's a little bit fruity or too sweet for you, with a sweet backbone or juicy backbone or whatever. And then it's like, oh, well, is this an IPA? I don't like this, it's too sweet for me. I want something that's more bitter. So it's like, okay, so I mean, yeah, it's an IPA, but there's a West Coast IPA. And then they're like, what? There's a West Coast IPA? Yeah, and then there's hazy IPA, juicy IPA. So it's like triple IPA. So it's like, oh, I didn't know that was going on. So I feel like when you just break it down and make it easier for them and just base it off flavors and aromas and describe beer with flavors and aromas, people are going to gravitate, or they already do gravitate more towards the breakdown of a beer. Oh, this beer is hoppy, or it's citrusy, or it's juicy, or it's malty, or it's chocolatey, or it tastes like coffee,
sour,
or it's tarty, or whatever. So if you describe a beer that way, it kind of makes it easier for them to understand what a beer is. There's people that know a lot about styles. There's people that don't know about styles. And then when you do something crazy, like, you know, the stuff that we do, that Marlene adds certain things to stouts that shouldn't be in a stout, and then people are like, oh, that's not a stout because you're adding this kind of stuff. But why are you gonna limit yourself? Why are you gonna limit yourself because style doesn't allow it?
Yeah.
What if you want to make a stout with blueberries or jam, or stout with extra hops, or you know, just make it different in a way, you know, not the same old thing. And that's where I feel that whole sabores over styles comes in, because you could express yourself in whatever style of beer you want, adding whatever you want, not trying to be in that norm that you have to be loyal to a certain way of making the beer, you know?
And I think also there's been times where I go into a brewery and I'm like, oh, like I'll try an IPA, right? I'll be like, you know what? I didn't really like it. So then whenever I go to another brewery, it's like, I'm not going to try an IPA anymore, because my first experience with that IPA, that style was not flattering and I didn't like it. So I just start knocking down all the IPAs. And I don't give IPAs another opportunity because of that one IPA that I had. So that's why when we talked about it, we're like, yeah, definitely, yes, this is something that we can move forward with. This is something that is different, scary, but we're like, let's do it. Like, let's knock down the IPAs and just, you know, like,
kind of like you said, you know, like you can actually, I mean, I feel like most people are, you know, like casual drinkers, you know, like, yes, I mean, most people want to go and have a beer and like try to see something different, but most people won't know about an IBU. Most people won't know about, like, hey, this is dry hop, or this is, you know, like you said, you know, this is a West Coast IPA opposed to like a juicy IPA. They're most like, okay, so which one is the, you know, per se, which one is the earthier one? Which one is the sweeter one? Which one, like, a lot of people are like, okay, well, this is what I'm expecting from my beer, you know? So it is hard for some of them to be like, oh, well, I mean, well, I've had a West Coast IPA before, like, I know I like them, and then you'll give them something, they'll be like, oh, well, never mind, this is not like that other beer. So it is kind of hard to sometimes be like, oh, well, you know, did you read the, you know, what kind of hops it has in there, or what, you know?
Yeah.
Most people can't tell you, hey, well, I don't know hops, I don't know.
And people won't want to do that. Like, you're not going to be like, oh, what does this have? you know.
It's not a lot of people that can go and just say based on the house, be like, oh, this is the the one I'm gonna like because it has this kind of hop in it. I feel like it makes it hard for us. Some people, like you said, you could try an IPA and then be like, oh, you know what, I didn't like that
That's
one,
not for me.
So that's not for me anymore.
All right. So kind of to wrap up, what has the process been like for you guys to start the actual brewery, to get Brew N Krew going?
Sam.
Very sad.
Very sad.
The process of it, I think when we first started, we honestly did not expect it to hit. We didn't expect it to become what it is now. It was something that we were doing as a hobby, and then we're like, well, then it was just kind of like, let's just run with it. Let's see where it takes us, right? And I can take credit to that. And the reason why I say I'll take credit to that was because I kind of forced it on Steven. I was like, let's do it, like we have this opportunity, let's chase it, right? And thankfully, we had very positive, I don't know, like a very positive, like, how do you say it? Very positive support,
or feedback. And I feel like you said, I feel like that also made you guys, like now it's like everybody's like cheering for you guys. So it makes it hard to be like, you know what, I'm gonna quit and like,
yeah, like if it wasn't for like our community, like our friends, our family, even looking at our children, like saying like, hey, like they believe in you, like that's why we went for it, right? So then now here we are, we were able to finally find a place that would be okay with us brewing beer and having a tasting room. That in itself took 2 years. And then, the whole process of going through the city, going through architects and everything, that took, like another year. And, even right now we're building it out. And honestly, it's like the most stressful, sad, lonely, dangerous journey I've ever been on, because people don't prepare you for this. Like my mom's been a business owner like for 30 plus years. And she did tell me, it's going to be hard. She took a different route with her business, but she's told me like from the get-go, like you literally are starting from the bottom. Like you're starting from the bottom. You're actually building it up. Literally like physically building the brewery. So she's like, it's going to get tough. And then you have like this idea of like, you know what, it's okay. You're going to get a loan. We have money here. So you have like all these expectations that, people believe in you, the community believes in you, but then it's like, wait, the banks don't believe in you because one, you're not bringing in revenue. Yes, your product could be great, but you're not bringing any money in. So it's like, how are we going to even lend you money when there's nothing coming in yet? But it's like, come on. And then they tell you, come back in 6 months or come back in a year. Once you're open, we will help you. And it's like, bro, like I need help right now. Like I need you right now. And it's so, like I said, it's so discouraging. It's like, I mean, all of you have seen me like literally crying and just wanting to give up, and then just feeling like so negative about this entire thing because, you have all these people telling you it's gonna work out, everything's going to be worth it. And you literally sometimes are like, shut up. Like, don't tell me it's going to be worth it because right now it does not seem like it's going to be worth it. Like, and it's so hard. And sometimes, yesterday I met with one of my friends and, like I, just by her and her husband telling me like, you know what, like looking at me straight in the eye, telling me like, we believe in your vision. And I was literally like almost in tears because I you hear it a lot, but I hadn't heard somebody tell me in person like, hey, we believe in you, like don't give up, like don't, and it's just like nobody prepares you for this. And everyone thinks it's like so easy. Everyone thinks like, oh, they're starting a business, they have money. And it's like, if you only knew like, literally like everything, like literally it's like I was richer when I was doing this, like, or I had money, but yeah, like honestly, shout out to like my mom, like she is like my, my silent partner, but without her, like, I don't know what I would be doing or why, or if this would even be happening. And like to my friends that have lent us money, like, oh my gosh, you literally have been like angels sent from God. And just anyone, like the community, like, Steven, Albert, you, like, just like not letting, I know there's times where you're like, fuck, I don't even know what to tell you. Like, I don't know what to say. And it's true. Like, I've never been in that position either myself. So I can't even imagine like what I would tell my friend, right? But the journey in itself has been very difficult. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, it's great. Like, it's awesome, because it's hard. And you really have to have thick skin. You really have to just, you're going to get all these comments about people, telling you like, oh, you shouldn't be doing this, or how could you be doing this? You don't even like beer, like what? Like all these things, right, come up, and you're just like, what? Like, well, it's not that, it's actually this. But people don't sit down and tell you or ask you questions, right? They just make assumptions based on what they read, what they've been told, or yeah. But it's a sad journey. Hey, but I heard
Hopefully with a great outcome.
I'm like, but I heard it's going to be worth it. So, but until this day, even on the hard times, I don't regret it. It's like, well, fuck, I can't. We're already here. So I'm just excited. I just can't wait till the end of the year to be like, fuck, we did it, to see where we're at in December. Yeah. So, but
I think, I mean, I think like she said, like, I mean, the few times that I've actually poured at events, I feel like that's a little a motivation, because you see the people actually, sometimes, come by and tell you, hey, like, I tried a beer, or like, as they're trying to, like, oh, this is amazing, like, give me some more. So that pushes, I feel like that's what I tell them, like, hey, like, just the feedback from the people that, tell you, like, oh, this is great. And even sometimes, like, even the bad feedback when they tell you, like, oh, like, I tried that beer, and, like, like, I didn't really, enjoy it, or, it's fine, because like, kind of like Marlena and Steven have said before, like, the purpose is to try and, what was it, take that feedback and do something, or try to improve on, what's being made, the product that's being put out. And basically, again, like, I feel like it's kind of like I said, like, you can't always please everybody's palate. So there is going to be beer that, some people will tell you, hey, this is the most amazing beer ever. And then people are going to tell you, like, hey, like,
That's awful.
This beer is awful. And it's like, well, you can't tell anybody, like, oh, you were wrong. Like, that person said it was good. Or like, hey, that person said it's good, so maybe he doesn't even know what he's talking about. It's harder to say, like, well, he's wrong, you're right. Or he's right, he's wrong, you're right. Because, again, it comes down to, preference. But, the feedback from the people is also, like, at least for me, like, I do find it kind of, gratifying. Like, I do, like, oh, dang, like, like, it kind of lifts you up. Like, I don't know if that's, how they feel. But
yeah, well,
even doing it, even I just doing it, like, when I'm helping them out.
On
like,
the side.
Yeah. It's like, oh, okay, like, this is,
It's encouraging.
It's
like,
encouraging, yeah.
Yeah, hearing people say, oh, this is really good, or comparing you to, like, certain people that are already, like, established, or certain like, beers that they've had before. Oh, this could be as good as this, or this is as good as this, or that it makes you feel good, because you know that all the, I mean, it's a struggle, and I give it up to Marlene, because she's been on it since day one, and her passion for it's crazy. It's not easy, it's not sweet, mostly sour right now, but eventually we're gonna get somewhere, and and I tell her she isn't this thing's gonna happen regardless, whatever it takes. But I always tell her, whenever there's bad comments or certain things.
What bad comments are you talking about?
I'm just saying, like, in general, like, whenever there's something.
What was it? That Marlene what? Doesn't drink beer? What?
Whenever there's, like, things said, whenever it's just like, don't. I mean, there's good and bad, and then I just try to focus on the good stuff, and then obviously, like, just worry about the comments that come from people that actually understand what's going on. And people that actually take your time to go and try the beer and see you
and connect with you.
Yeah,
guys. I think there's a lot of people that try to do that.
Just like to see the passion that's in the whole process, process and vision of this project.
Yeah.
what your preference in beverages and preference in style of beer or beers. That's the least of, and like that's the least thing that matters. Like.
And I would have to add, just because she has her nails done and all that doesn't mean that she doesn't make the beer. She actually does.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
there's
just,
a lot of
it's stuff like that. It's just like.
I mean, it's just that's one of the main things that this us as Brew N Krew or the project's trying to do is just make it to where the craft beer community is much more make it more diverse, make it more open to different things. You don't have to look a certain way to brew beer. You don't have to know certain things to brew beer or be passionate or, I mean, be passionate in the sense as in like.
You have to be out here drinking.
Yeah, you have to be drinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
like you don't have to drink beer every day to love the process of making beer and enjoy making beer and enjoy a beer here and there. I mean, some of the best brewers and some of those people out there doing some great stuff right now admit, and it's on record, they admit, I wasn't a beer drinker. My thing was vodka and Red Bull or whatever, and then I started just digging in. But they start off as not knowing that you don't have to just fucking love beer or be all in love with beer or know everything about beer to understand the process and do the beer.
I was more of a what's called like mixed drink person. Like I would hit and now if it's rare if you ever see me like with any kind of like whiskey, vodka, tequila, anything like that. It's like I'll be at the bar with a beer. Like, hey, just give me a beer. Like I feel like everybody knows like if I'm anywhere drinking, it's a beer, regardless of if it's a brewery or a bar or what have you. Like it's hard for me to now ask for a mixed drink or anything like that or a shot or anything. Again, like I used to be a hardcore like, oh, give me a bottle, give me, you know,
Hennessy. Anything is possible.
give me a mixed drink of it. Now it's like now I hate it. Now I hate this. Like now I'm like beer, give me beer.
Yeah,
so,
perfect.
And well, like it's not that I don't like beer. I actually love beer. I obviously love making beer. I will tell you this. I didn't start appreciating beer until I learned what it took to make a beer. So now there's times where like we'll go out somewhere and Steven will leave like the beer halfway. So I'm like, dude, finish it. Like finish it. Like, because I know what it took to make.
Yeah, and
he'll be like, I can't because I'm gonna get super bloated. I'm like, dude, I don't care. Well, we will wait. I will wait here. But yeah, definitely, I am a tequila person. I still like, my, cranberry vodkas. That's just my go-to. And that doesn't mean I am less of a brewer or less of a beer lover. I know my preference and that's just...
Yeah, I mean...
That's just who I am.
The thing is
but
that
a beer, here and there, it's like, I still try my beer. It's like...
She still shares a flight with, like, when we go out and I get a flight, she'll have...
And by flights, it's like 3 flights. You're like, shit.
Sipping everything and tasting it, and it's like, you don't have to chug a beer to be a beer maker. Like, as long as you know what it's about, you're good. I mean...
And I feel to that, also to that point, there's nothing wrong with liking a Stella. There's nothing wrong with liking. Hey, my favorite beer for a while was Heineken. And,
I remember that.
And I feel like I feel people like will say like, well, Heineken like that tastes like I don't know like
piss.
Those are comments. I like it, but I have heard that.
But understand that the notes like piss or goat or grass. Those are notes that you can find in a beer. Yeah. And so
it's and even if we want to like go further, I mean, I'm still a person that once in a while
get small liquor.
Yeah, I'll get a Mickey's. I'll get a Mickey. Yeah, I'll get a Mickey. So
just
I mean,
to switch it up.
Just to switch it up because I know like that was one of the beers that at least malt wise like one of the first malty beers that I've had. So yes, a lot of people say like what that like that's garbage. I don't care. I'm still once in a while you'll find me like going to the liquor store and like, oh, a Mickey, Let me get it for all time's sakes, you know, like.
Yeah. There's no such thing as bad beer.
Yeah.
And like I will forever attest to that. I will say that until I die. People will be like, there is bad beer. No, there's not. Like I may like a beer, he may hate it. He might be like, yeah, it's all right. There's a beer for everyone though. So that is for sure. But
and well, yeah, the
sabores. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, and I mean the preference of beer, whether it be craft beer or mass-produced beer or European beer, it doesn't make you a beer expert or a brewer. Like it's just like people like drinking what they like. They like the flavor they get. They like the aromas. And Belgium, like beer, just if I'm being like really honest, a lot of the brewers that are brewing all these beers, they prefer pilsners from Europe to drink on a daily than the stuff they brew and the stuff they what's it called
that they produce, they make.
That they produce and make, not because they don't love it, just because like I mean you're making your own product. It's like you're making your own stuff, and eventually you're just like
Te vas a empalagar.
Yeah,
You're
so,
gonna get sick of it.
let my customers enjoy this great stuff, but let me kick back and watch them enjoy it while I have myself a pilsner, a lager, you know. It's just I compare it también to like chefs. I mean, they eat food, their own food. Sometimes they're like, I'm tired of eating my own food. I want someone to cook for me, or I want to try something different.
Hey, let me just drive down to McDonald's and get
get some of that. Yeah, get some.
Chicken nuggets.
chicken.
All right. Well, I think that concludes the questions, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more videos. We will see you in downtown Salinas. Just kidding.
Soon, eventually.
Yeah.